Well, I think that this year it's a historic election year. We've got a candidate who's running, first African American, who has a viable chance to be president. We also have, a candidate who also has a running mate who could possibly be the first woman elected into vice president's office. So, as a result, I think we're going to have a lot of turnout. I mean, the turnout has already been historic based upon the numbers we've seen in the primaries. And that means that we're going to have a lot of problems, I think, at the polling place, not just necessarily voter suppression, intentional voter suppression tactics, but also based upon negligence. We've already seen some in the primaries when we've had so many people at the polling place. We've had long lines. You've had resources in which polling places have been running out of not only ballots, but the voting machines have broken down, which has caused long lines of people being disgruntled and not being able to vote. So that's disenfranchisement there. That's all a part of whatever voter suppression, whatever you talk about voter suppression. I think naturally you're also going to have the other types of more blatant forms that we typically see during the elections, and that also really are prevalent, particularly during the presidential election seasons, which is the voter intimidation and harassment that might occur not only by police officers, the blatant forms, but also things like deceptive practices, things like voter caging, things that we're hearing more about, particularly in Michigan, with the foreclosure lists that are potentially being created by the GOP there. I think, and most importantly, one of the things that we're focusing on at People for the American Way is the voter ID issues, which I think are a result of this massive creation, this distortion that there is voter fraud that exists throughout the country, and that's what we think is something that really needs to be highlighted, because that voter ID is very confusing. And not everybody understands what their needs are, what their requirements are in their respective states. They all differ. About 25 states have ID requirements, but they all vary. Indiana being the most strict, and you can go towards California that allows pretty much anything, as long as you have identity. So, but because there's so much variation, that means that you have poll workers who don't know necessarily all the requirements. They might indiscriminately ask one person versus another for ID when instead you have discriminatory treatment. So all of those challenges, I think, are part of voter suppression when you talk about it, and it could be intentional or non-intentional, but it all works the same, which is to disenfranchise voters, and we definitely need to do what we can to try to protect those voters.
Thank you.